Vasu, those are some pretty strong caveats, I have to say. In terms of what we heard over the weekend, what we're expecting from the Party Congress, has any of that changed your outlook or your strategy for China?
In all honesty, we weren't looking very much from the Party Congress. And true enough, I don't think Xi Jinping said anything regarding the let-up of COVID-19 or the let-up in terms of housing market policies, two factors that have weighed on the economy. But going forward, I think that could change. It's not going to be a quick, dramatic change. It could change in the next 6 to 9 months. I think China, at some stage, will have to ease up on its COVID policy. Not ready for it right now. Perhaps when there's a mRNA vaccine, sometime early next year, perhaps, they'll be more ready. And when the vaccination rates amongst the seniors in China increase further, then probably they'll be more ready. But I think they'll probably move in a very gradual fashion as far as easing COVID policy is concerned, and that's been a big drag on the economy. But having said that, a lot of the bad news has been priced into the markets. The MSCI China is down sharply, and that's the reason why we feel that the Chinese equity market is something investors should not ignore, but at the same time not be too aggressive either, because there's going to be still quite a bit of volatility as we play through this Party Congress and other economic policies in the next 6 months.
Because one of the other themes we're starting to see emerge is a tug of war between governments and central banks. Obviously, the UK is a prominent casualty of that battle. At least in China, do you have the advantage of being on the same page when it comes to policy making and hopefully being able to return to that counter-cyclical factor of resuming to some level of growth?
Absolutely. I think that's China's advantage. Inflation is not running away in China, unlike the US. The PBOC has the ability to do more if it wants to. The government has the ability to do more if it wants to. But having said all that, I think I also have to caution what came through quite clearly from Xi Jinping's opening address to the Party Congress is that, I don't think they're looking for a return to rapid growth. Yes, the Chinese government has a 5.5% target for the economy this year, and economy is probably going to come in at just above 3% in terms of growth this year. But I don't think they're looking to achieve that 5.5% target. I think they're looking for reasonable growth, so they will not do anything that is too aggressive, and so I think it's going to be more gradual. I mean, they'll do what they can to support the economy, the housing market. But don't expect fireworks from fiscal policy or monetary policy in China. It'll be gradual steps.
Looking down the road, this is not an immediate investment idea or avenue, but when Xi vows victory in the tech battle, after the U.S. curb, and that's going to be very important to build up the chip industry, make it competitive. Will there be opportunities for investors? Do you think China's going to follow through on this to a degree that's something to keep your eye on?
Well, that's something quite clearly the government is quite determined to do. I mean, they're going to push quite aggressively, invest quite aggressively in the high technology space. I mean, the tech space in China has seen a beating, but it's really in the e-commerce space that's taken a beating. I mean, because of tightening regulations over the last 12, 18 months in China. But when it comes to high technology, I mean, when it comes to the chip industry, I think the government recognizes that it is something they have to invest in quite aggressively. I don't think the opportunities are going to be immediate. It's something to keep in mind, but it's quite clear that the Chinese government will focus on this area. They recognize the fact that there's a lot of pushback from the US, and so it's one area they're prepared to put in money, invest, and take on the US. And they know they have to do it to stay competitive and to keep China's status as a superpower.
So, Vasu, I have to ask you about yen. What do you think is going to happen there? Continue to weaken? Bold action from the government? Is it going to stall out for a while again?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's really not about the yen. It's really about the US dollar. And so if the question to ask is, will the US dollar continue to hit higher? I mean, that's the way we see it. And yes, it looks like the US dollar will hit higher. I mean, we are now projecting that, there'll be 2 75 basis point rate hikes in November and December, and who knows, perhaps even more if inflation doesn't come down. So, given that backdrop, the US dollar is likely to strengthen further. That's going to pose headaches for the Ministry of Finance and the central bank in Japan. So, I was just listening to your show earlier and you talked about 150 to the US dollar. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens because the dollar is fairly strong and there are no reasons for the dollar to take a step back because interest rates in the US are likely to hit high end. You could see more supersized 75 basis point rate hikes in the coming months.